The hate is real. The hate is real, Kathy. I see you hating on us from a mile away, Kathy Engelbert. We all see it. You out here trying to find Caitlin Clark. You out here finding the one person who's actually bringing money into this league. What a joke. You're mad that the Indiana Fever are here right now. Y'all didn't expect us to get this far.
The WNBA has once again shown why so many fans and players doubt its leadership. This time, it's not about a bad call during a game. It's something more serious. The league punished its biggest star just for speaking the truth that millions of fans already believe.
Y'all really didn't expect it. We got Sophie Cunningham exposing the whole league agenda. Exposing them. Caitlin Clark mocking them all on Twitter, all on Instagram, everywhere, because they are...
Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever's star guard who has changed the way people talk about women's basketball, was fined $200 for making a simple joke on social media about referees. Think about that. Clark, the player who has packed arenas, raised TV ratings, and pushed the WNBA into the spotlight, wasn't fined for rough play or bad behavior, but just for writing 4 words, "Refs couldn't stop us."
So during the game, we saw here, the Fever players celebrating. I would assume based on the reaction that this was after the Lexi Hull steal and everything. And Caitlin Clark on Instagram commented this: "Refs couldn't stop us. Elite bench mob. It wasn't for the lack of trying. Glad they're having fun and celebrating like no other teams. Will she get fined for saying that? Yeah, she got fined."
Timing makes it even more absurd. The Fever, playing without their superstar on the court, have made it further in the playoffs than they have in almost 10 years. They shocked everyone by beating the Las Vegas Aces in Game 1 of the semifinals, a huge upset that rocked the league. You'd think the WNBA would highlight that moment to promote the game. But instead, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and her team chose to focus on punishing Caitlin Clark over a small Instagram comment.
When you're on the WNBA's time or the NFL's time or the NBA's time, when you're on their time, criticizing the officials, calling out the officiating, I've seen players get fined for that. But when you're on your own time, well, now, other than Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark seems to be the 2 players that come to my mind of players getting fined, criticizing the officials, doing it on their own time, quote unquote, off the clock.
Just think about that. Instead of celebrating the fight, the underdog win, and the fact that the Fever are making history, the league's officials were busy acting like school hall monitors, scrolling through Instagram looking for something to punish.
As today, Caitlin Clark got fined $200. Kathy, what do you think you are accomplishing by that? What kind of message do you think you're accomplishing by doing? You're not even making an example out of her by finding her an exorbitant amount of money. You are literally making a joke out of yourself by finding her such a
Here's what really happened. The Fever's official account shared a photo of their bench celebrating a win. Clark, who was still out with a groin injury but cheering on her team, left 2 comments. The first said, "Elite bench mob." The second said, "Refs couldn't stop us." That's it. Just 4 playful words, the same kind of humor her fans love. Words that reflected exactly what Fever fans had been saying all season. And the league's reaction? A fine.
What world do we live in? I'm pretty sure she just said the refs can't stop them celebrating. This isn't even her going at refs. It's literally like if you say the word refs and you're an Indiana Fever player, you're going to get fined. If you say the word refs as a Fever player, the word referees has to be spoken, cannot be said by an Indiana Fever player, otherwise it's a fine. And the worst part is if they got fined for celebrating. So I don't think, only she got fined, not everybody. There's other people on the floor, everything. She's not, they're celebrating, the timeout's been called, or the foul's been called, it is what it is.
It's ridiculous. This is the same league that has ignored all the cheap shots Clark has taken throughout the season. The same league that let hard fouls slide, fouls that would have been called flagrant anywhere else. Yet now, they suddenly found the courage to punish her over a harmless social media comment. That's not accountability, it's pure hypocrisy.
We know how this works because Sophie Cunningham has told us how this works. If you talk about the refereeing, if you talk about the officiating, on the InstaFace, on the TikToks, on the Twitters, any of that social media, in the public, in the interview, if you mouth it in the shower, Kathy Engelbert will peek in and look around at you and point at you and be like, you're fined. Even though she won't clean up the officiating in her trash-ass league? Okay.
And this is where things get even more absurd. Clark isn't even playing in the playoffs. Her second season ended after just 13 games, and she's been sidelined since July. She's stuck rehabbing, dealing with the frustration of not being able to play, yet somehow she still ended up being targeted by the league. What does that say? It shows the WNBA isn't just bad at handling officiating, it's trying to silence the one player brave enough to call it out. Clark's response to the fine said it all. She posted a screenshot of her comment on Twitter and wrote, "Got fined $200 for this, LOL," adding laughing emojis and promising the Fever bench would be even louder next game. That's real leadership, taking a punishment and turning it into motivation for her team. And to top it off, Sophie Cunningham joined in on the joke, saying maybe they should start a GoFundMe to help Clark with her massive $200 fine.
WNBA definitely got to play these women more. You got to pay these women more. Because what the hell is a $200 fine? This picture right here is giving me Mom Made Pizza Rolls vibes. Mom Made Pizza Rolls and everybody. Ah! Caitlin Clark was fined $200 for her comments she left on the IG post. She said refs couldn't stop us, meaning they advanced to the next round despite the refs trying to throw them a curveball every game, despite having to play against the refs. And the league said, "Oh hell nah, you gotta run me that. You gotta run me that 200. You got to run me that 200."
Here's the reality: everyone knows the money isn't the problem. Clark makes about $80,000 from her WNBA salary, but her endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, and other major brands bring in millions. To her, a $200 fine is nothing more than tossing a penny into a fountain. The real issue isn't the cash, it's the message. The league wasn't sending her a bill, it was warning her, "Don't challenge us," but that message totally backfired. Instead of fixing the obvious officiating problems this season, Commissioner Engelbert's office chose to punish the one player bold enough to point it out. And let's be honest, Clark's comment wasn't even offensive. She didn't attack any referee, didn't curse, didn't go on a rant, and didn't insult the league. It was just a short, playful remark that echoed what fans were already saying: the Fever beat both the Aces and the refs. That's not misconduct, it's just common sense.
Because Sophie has got jokes. She retweeted this. That's really going to break the bank for her. Starting a GoFundMe now. Sophie, you got jokes. Hun, you got jokes. Yeah, so Sophie Cunningham Central, I'll donate.
Meanwhile, the very problems Clark pointed out are still eating the league alive. Bad whistles, blown calls that decide games, and refs losing control to the point where every hard foul looks ready to explode into a fight. Players are fed up. Coaches are fed up. Fans are just tired of it. Whole games have been ruined by officiating disasters. The Fever vs Sun meltdown with 5 technicals and multiple ejections is just one example. And what does the league do? Instead of fixing it, they're busy policing Instagram comments. The optics make it even worse. While Clark was getting punished for speaking plain truth, the Aces were celebrating AJA Wilson's 4th MVP trophy. Think about that contrast. On one side, the league's most decorated veteran is showered with praise. On the other, its most popular star gets fined for saying what fans already know. That's not balance, it's a rigged story, and this goes beyond Caitlin Clark. This is about what kind of league the WNBA wants to be. Does it want to be a serious, respected league that can take criticism and grow stronger? Or does it want to be a fragile PR machine that silences its stars while sweeping its flaws under the rug? Right now, Engelbert's office is proving it's picked the wrong path.
Rather than fining players for being excited on the bench and for letting it be known how trash your referees are, why don't you start fining referees for not calling fouls? Why don't you start putting that type of energy into making sure the game is played better? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Because that would be nice. That would be nice if you could do that.
Here's the truth. Caitlin Clark didn't damage the WNBA by posting those 4 words, she exposed it. She gave fans a voice. And by fining her, the league only proved her point. The WNBA's way of handling criticism has become a broken cycle. Punish the whistleblowers, protect the system, and hope people move on. Instead of fixing the obvious problems with officiating, they go after anyone who dares to speak up. Golden State assistant coach Natalie Nass found that out when she was fined for calling out bias. Indiana's own Stephanie White has been outspoken all season about refs being inconsistent and disrespectful. And even Becky Hammond, the coach of the Aces, the very team that usually benefits from the whistles, has admitted the officiating across the league is flat out embarrassing.
The physicality is out of control, that's for sure. I mean, you can bump and grab a wide receiver in the NFL for those first 5 yards, but you can do it in the W for the whole half court. You put 2 hands on somebody like that, it should be an automatic foul. They have the freedom of movement. Freedom of movement. There's no freedom. And I'm not saying that we're not fouling too. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's out of control.
When coaches, insiders, and rivals all raise the same concern, the league should be paying attention. But the WNBA's response is always the same: hand out a fine, silence the voice, and pretend the problem doesn't exist. That's why the punishment of Caitlin Clark feels especially insulting. Look at the bigger picture. The Indiana Fever are in the middle of a miracle playoff run without her. 6 players are injured, their superstar has been sidelined since July, and yet they still fought their way into the semifinals for the first time since 2015. They knocked out the higher-seeded Atlanta Dream in a tough 3-game series. Then, against all odds, they stunned the 2-time champion Las Vegas Aces in Game 1 of the semifinals with a commanding 89-73 road win. That wasn't luck, it was pure grit, discipline, and Kelsey Mitchell exploding for 34 points, just 2 short of the team's playoff record.
What if this is the WNBA foreshadowing? We're seeing how you're acting on the bench. We're seeing how you're talking to the officials on the bench. We will tee you up. Now, whether I think that she deserves a tee for it or not, we're not even going to get into that. What if this is just saying, hey, we're going to tee you up if you continue to get at the officials, if you continue to talk up the officials, if you continue to show up the officials on the sideline, we're going to tee you up.
A performance like that, a team showing heart, grit, and resilience, should have been front-page news celebrating women's basketball. But instead of spotlighting the moment, the league stepped all over it by fining Caitlin Clark. The star, who wasn't even on the court, was punished simply for cheering on her teammates from the sidelines. Think about how tone-deaf you have to be to turn what should have been a feel-good story into yet another controversy about league leadership. And then there's the double standard playing out right in front of everyone. On one side, AJA Wilson gets crowned MVP for the 4th time and is praised as the polished face of the league. On the other, Caitlin Clark, the player driving ratings, ticket sales, and merchandise like no one else, gets fined for 4 words on Instagram. To make it worse, when her teammates Mitchell, Hull, Boston, and Sims carried the Fever to a Game 1 win while Wilson struggled with a 6-for-22 shooting night, the league's focus wasn't on their dominance. It was on Clark's harmless Instagram comment.
The Aces couldn't stop her. I actually don't think that the Aces perimeter, honestly, defense or offense is very good, but specifically defense, they just couldn't find an answer for Kelsey. They were sending 2 on her at different times, but the Fever were running cutters. Kelsey was making her way to the rim. Now, I will say the Aces defense is scary around the rim because you have somebody like Asia who averages over 2 blocks a game, and she's just there waiting and ready to block your shot if you get too close to the rim. But Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, she was just finding her spots, getting to her lanes, hitting those open threes, all of the things.
Irony couldn't be sharper. Clark got fined for saying refs couldn't stop us. Then the Fever went into Vegas and proved her right, crushing the league's favorites on their own floor. If the WNBA had any sense, they would have turned that into a marketing campaign. Look at this team. Look at this underdog story. Look at the future of women's basketball, but instead, they doubled down on silencing criticism. It's like Engelbert and the league office are allergic to good publicity. This fine isn't just a bad look, it's a masterclass in how not to run a professional league. Instead of celebrating the stars who are drawing more attention than ever, they nitpick, control, and stifle them. Instead of addressing the officiating, an issue that players, coaches, and fans all agree on, they punish anyone bold enough to say it out loud. It's the same backwards mindset that has held women's sports back for decades. Keep players compliant, cling to authority, and sacrifice growth just to stay in control. And the most frustrating part? It didn't need to happen. If the league put half the effort into fixing refereeing that it puts into monitoring Caitlin Clark's Instagram, this controversy wouldn't even exist. Accountability for officials, better training, real transparency, any of these steps would build trust. But instead, the league buries its head in the sand while the players are left to carry everything on their shoulders.
All the money that Caitlin Clark has generated for this league, all the tickets sold, all the jerseys, all the record revenue of the ratings, the television deal, and they're going to put their hands in her pocket for $200 for this. I'm like, hey man, do we need to call the armored guard? Do we need to have all this? And we need to deliver it directly to Kathy Engelbert's office. As a matter of fact, Caitlin Clark herself should be able to make an appearance, and she should do how Ice Cube did, when he used to run up into record labels. I'm saying, bring a bat. Caitlin, bring a bat. Bring the black Air Force.
Caitlin Clark's response to the fine showed exactly why she's more than just a player, she's a cultural force. She laughed it off, promised her bench would keep the energy high, and reminded fans why they love her. She refuses to bow to league politics, refuses to let pettiness pull her away from her team, and refuses to let Kathy Engelbert or anyone else shut her down. That's leadership. That's authenticity. And that's why fans rally around her in ways no WNBA player ever has. But the bigger problem goes beyond one $200 fine. The WNBA had a golden opportunity to ride Clark's impact and the Fever's incredible playoff run. The storylines, the energy, the momentum, they were all there. Instead of building on it, the league sabotaged itself with petty decisions. This isn't just a missed opportunity, it's a clear sign of why women's basketball has struggled to grow under Engelbert's leadership. Every time the league is handed progress, it chooses control. Every time it should listen to its stars, it silences them.
It is madness. It is madness. And I mean this. Like, the amount of people that are like, oh, I hate this team. It's like, why? They're excessively celebrating. They're excessively celebrating. They're not there talking down on other teams. They're not doing the Alyssa Thomas. They're not doing a Phoenix Mercury and shit talking other teams' fans. They're not doing a Phoenix Mercury and shit talking the other teams' players, their coaches, their all of this stuff. And then when they lose, they're silent and they dodge everything. Hell no, they're just celebrating. They're just celebrating. They actually find somebody for saying refs can't stop. The refs won't stop us.
The message couldn't be clearer. Under Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA values control more than accountability. They'd rather hand out fines than actually fix the game. They'd rather protect their image than embrace the very players fueling their growth. And they're willing to risk the momentum Caitlin Clark has created just to maintain their fragile authority. So here's the real question. How many more chances will they waste? How many more times will they punish the messenger while ignoring the message? If this league truly wants to grow, it won't happen by silencing Caitlin Clark. It will happen by finally listening to her.